Hello and welcome to the CX Files podcast. I'm your host, Mark Hillary. In this edition of the podcast, we've got a special treat. I'm in Dublin, Ireland, speaking with Giovanni Tavani, Director of Global Customer Care and Social Media at Royal Canin. Royal Canin is probably the leading pet care specialist in the world today, and I know that it's certainly the only brand of pet food that I know that has different food for individual breeds of dog. Of course, that's a problem for me because my dog Joe is an unknown mix rescued from the streets of Sao Paulo. Giovanni and I have known each other for a few years because he used to head up the social customer care at Dell. He was based in France with Dell, and he's still there now with Royal Canin. And we managed to talk together here in Dublin on October the 19th. Okay, so let's go straight to the interview and hear from Giovanni on the challenges of supporting the modern customer when they're also a pet owner. So you recently joined Royal Canin after 17 years with Dell. What are the main kind of similarities and differences that you see regarding the customer care? Because, you know, they're two very different companies, but I guess at the end of the day, there's always some guiding principles.
Yes, the common guiding principle is that we are looking at delivering our best skills and talents to achieve an excellent customer experience. Of course, it's different between pet owners and vets and breeders versus computer owners and IT services customers. It's very much different. We managed at Dell to create an emotional link with our PC users and gaming users. I think that with the pet nutrition and pet owners, the emotional link is already there with cats and dogs. I mean, look at how much material you can find on social media today about that. So delivering an excellent customer experience is really going on top of that and giving services to generate the wow effect to pet owners, to make sure that they are followed and supported and helped from the day they have to choose for the right pet for them, for the lifestyle, for their environment, until the pet grows and gets more mature and then old, to cover the whole of the life cycle. That's really going to be the added value that we want to build at Royal Canin today.
Okay, that's interesting because you mentioned there about the sort of flood of information available on social media. If I do a Google search for information on looking after my dog, I'm sure I'll find a million different results. Now, I know that when you were at Dell, this was an interesting strategy that you had there, was to make sure that the stuff people find when they ask a question on Google was content that you'd uploaded, you know, short videos, how-tos, help and stuff like that. So do you think that that's now essential? I mean, are customers going to Google before they ever try to contact the brand?
Well, we cannot replace Google. Nobody can replace Google today. Google or, for example, the equivalent in China. What I do believe today is that if you really want to make a difference, you have to appear in the key researches and results when people are using Google. So we need to make sure that our content becomes the content someone finds when they look it up in Google. Google is fantastic for many reasons, but I cannot guarantee on the quality of the findings when you look for pet nutrition or even pet medical information. So we need to make sure that educational part is our goal in Royal Canin Customer Care, so that when people look up for information with, we call it Dr. Google, that they find our content on the main page and not XYZ content where we cannot guarantee the source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. One of the topics that keeps coming up at conferences, and we are at a conference right now in Dublin today, is about all these emerging technologies. You know, we keep talking about AI, bots, automation, and how much this is changing the customer experience. But is this really something that you're managing on a day-to-day basis, or are we sort of slightly guilty of following the analyst hype?
I don't think it's a fashion item, element. There is a use for AI. We need to use AI to make sure that it supports the human element. I don't think that AI will ever replace the human. I think that AI has to support and serve the human to make sure that the customer gets the best support ever, because AI facilitated and enabled the talent of the human being.
Okay, so it's really about augmenting what the people can achieve rather than replacing humans in a contact center, for example.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly like we saw in some earlier presentations at this event. We're not talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about augmented intelligence. This is precisely what I see in AI for our customer care.
Okay, and just finally, I had a question about co-creation and the kind of link between the brand and customer, because I know that, I think you're the only brand that's got breed-specific food for dogs. If I have a German Shepherd, I can get a very specific food designed for that breed. But I've got a mixed-up mutt that's a crossbreed that I rescued from the street in Sao Paulo. So how would I interact with Royal Canin and say, what can you do for my dog?
That's a fantastic question. I think it's a very good idea that I have to throw to my colleagues at Research and Development. We can actually try and build cocktails of kibbles to make sure that they mix the breeds of your dog. Okay, besides jokes, I do believe that there is a product for all sorts of dogs and cats, including yours. I'm pretty sure that your dog actually is a very, very happy one, because you saved him from the street and you're feeding the best product in the world.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. Please tell your friends and contacts about the podcast by sharing it using the hashtag #CXFiles. And if you can leave a comment and rating on iTunes, that would be fantastic. Thank you in advance. I'm always open to ideas and suggestions, so if you want topics explored or covered on the podcast, you can find me using @MarkHillary on Twitter. That's Hillary with 2 L's. Or just search LinkedIn for Mark Hillary and CX Files. Thank you and see you next time.